Hello, and welcome to Adler Graduate School course number 504, Abnormal Psychology. My name is Rocky Garrison, and I'm the teacher for this course. This talk goes over the goals of the course and gives you an overview of the organization of the course. There is another talk on the course page that goes into detail about each of the assignments you will be completing for this course. Before we get started, make sure you've read the syllabus as well as the online confidentiality, copyright, and attendance policies. There is a place for you to check that you agree to these policies. Also, be sure to post an introduction on the forum for introductions and update your profile for the course page. In this course, we will be exploring the DSM and ICD categorical approach to human distress as the foundation for a diagnostic case formulation, which is a description of a person's current difficulties in functioning, as well as hypotheses about the way these difficulties are maintained and perpetuated. The DSM approach strives to define reliable categories or diagnoses and then use these categories to research and understand commonalities, themes, and treatment approaches. Diagnostic categories are somewhere in the middle of a continuum that ranges from universal human traits at one end and unique characteristics of each person at the other end. Diagnostic categories are one of the ways that a person is like some people and different from some other people. I want to emphasize that this DSM categorical approach and focus on symptoms has strengths and weaknesses. It is certainly not the only approach to understanding and treating human distress. As a developing professional, you need to make decisions about how much you're going to draw on this approach in your treatment planning and implementation, and how much you're going to draw on other approaches. There is a series of lectures on case formulation to help you in this process. The syllabus defines 4 goals for this course. The first goal is for you to be able to use the current diagnostic classification systems, DSM-5 and ICD-10. You will learn how to collect the information needed to make a diagnosis and to use a variety of decision trees to convert this information into a diagnosis. While distinct categories are essential for research, they are not so useful in the clinical task of understanding a person. And many of the diagnoses are thought of as continuums or spectrums, with the person located somewhere on the range between one end and the other. As we will see, many of the diagnoses include a way to indicate this severity level. The second goal of this course is for you to be able to use a variety of assessment instruments for diagnostic assessment purposes. In this course, we will be using some of the questionnaires that are suggested in DSM-5. The Level 1 Symptom Measure is a 23-item screening measure that is designed for use as a part of an initial assessment interview. Further assessment of specific diagnoses can be completed with one of the Level 2 symptom or severity measures. You will also learn how to use the World Health Organization Disability Assessment Scale, which examines 6 domains of functioning regardless of the diagnosis or diagnoses the person has. The third goal of the course is for you to be able to conduct the cultural formulation interview from DSM-5, which is a semi-structured interview designed for use as a part of an initial assessment interview. The fourth goal is for you to integrate these various components, the diagnosis, the assessments, and the cultural formulation interview information, into a diagnostic formulation, which is typically included in an initial assessment report. Every unit has a vocabulary page for you to download and review, and every unit will have assigned readings in DSM-5 and ICD-10. Every unit except the first one will have a case from Brown and Barlow to be read and used in the case analysis and measurement exercise assignments for the unit. Many of the units will have one or more update bulletins for DSM-5 that list corrections and updates for specific diagnoses. And in every unit there will be one or more measures that are relevant to the topic of the unit. You will also find 2 talks in each unit, one on the diagnosis or diagnoses that are covered in the unit, and one on some aspect of diagnostic formulation. There is a handout for each of these talks. These are the topics for the formulation talks. There is also a talk in each unit by a prominent Buddhist practitioner. These run about an hour in length. These will be especially relevant for you if you are adopting the acceptance and commitment therapy theoretical orientation. I have found the language they use to describe human distress to be especially useful in presenting my case formulations to clients. For many of the diagnoses, there is an additional reading. I have strived to identify a recent review article. There is another video that describes the assignments for this case. There are 8 case analyses, 8 measurement exercises, and 8 personal reflections based on the cultural formulation interview. At the end of the course, there is a special project, which is a role-played diagnostic interview and diagnostic formulation. This is how I would encourage you to sequence your work for each unit. First, read the case study for the unit. This puts a face on the diagnostic category and sets you up to develop the case analysis and the measurement exercise. Next, look over the cultural formulation interview questions to give you time to reflect on the topic and form your personal reflection paper. Then print and review the vocabulary sheet and listen to my talks for the unit. Reflect back on the case, especially as you listen to the talk on the disorders for the unit. Next, look at the update bulletins and the readings from the DSM-5 and ICD-10. Use the case to focus on relevant decision trees and the specific diagnostic criteria, the additional information, and the specifiers that are available for some of the diagnoses. For each diagnostic chapter, I suggest you first go through the chapter and read just the diagnostic criteria for each of the diagnoses in the chapter. Next, look at the items on the Level 1 measure and the Level 2 measure for the diagnosis, if there is one. Then go back to the DSM-5 and read the text associated with each diagnosis in the chapters as you work on the case analysis. In each unit after this first one, you will do analysis of a case from the Brown and Barlow text, posting your original response on Tuesday or Friday of the unit, and your peer responses by Wednesday or Saturday of the unit. You will also do a measurement exercise for this case in each unit and a personal reflection based on a domain of the cultural formulation interview. There is a special report due at the end of the course. There are 2 extra credit case analyses and a forum available for extra credit.